Give me an example.
So let me get a very funny example. Right? I do this often with people. We are conditioned to make certain body movements just based off of what we encounter, right? So when we first met, I extended my hand.
Yeah.
Which even now, you know I'm not trying to shake your hand. But it's still gonna need to put your hand out. Yeah. That's predictable directly from the behavior, right? With personal bubble, I can literally move you. Like we're standing next to each other, I can literally move you someplace where I want you to go just by invading your personal bubble. I know that if I stand next to you, people move away. People do this all the time. People do it in lines, they do it in elevators. What CIA does is teaches you how to do it intentionally with operational utility to achieve a certain outcome that you want. The same thing is true when it comes to getting someone to speak. You can get someone to speak when they don't want to speak. You can get someone to say things they don't realize they're saying by using tools of elicitation. Just as a real quick example, I'm going to stop talking. Just kind of comfortable how many seconds go by before you start to feel like a station.
I mean, even that was awkward. Even though I knew you were doing it on purpose, it's still awkward.
I would do whatever, but yeah,
You know what I mean? Like you just kind of came. This is like one of 50,000 podcasts you've probably done. Me, I'm like, oh my god, I'm so excited to have him. I love his content, right?
And it's not necessarily something I don't want to personally offend, obviously.
Trust me, you're not personally offending me at all. It takes way more than that. I mean, personally offend me, but
this is
no, I know. That's what I'm saying. Like that's I'm actually taking it as like the information.
So think about everybody who's read a book, right? Your favorite author. You feel like you know that.
Yeah.
The whole idea of celebrity is really just this concept on a massive scale. That's why we feel like we have a lot of our favorite actors or our favorite actresses.
Yeah.
That's why we feel like we understand our favorite journalists. That's why we feel like we understand our favorite painters. Because we've spent so much time reflecting on them. That's influence that they've been able to put out there. Think about the influence of Vincent Van Gogh, or the influence of any member of the Beatles.
I understand what you mean. I guess my question was more about, did your time at the CIA teach you how to be more persuasive? Like, what are some of the tactile or actionable things that because you now have a company, right, called Everyday Spy, where you take these things that you've honed and learned and you apply them to everyday civilian life for people, correct?
Correct.
So what are some of these really important skills that can be very helpful and beneficial for people?
Well, persuasion is a great place to start.
Yeah.
Because let's just assume that somebody already knows that influence and persuasion are the same thing. And let's go ahead and also assume that they already knew that persuasion was tied to emotion. So those are two big steps because the average person doesn't really understand that. But let's just go ahead and start there. So how do you teach someone the technical steps of persuasion? Once they understand that persuasion is based on emotion, right? You have to start teaching them how to identify emotional levers in their target. So you are kind of my guinea pig, right? So when I look at you, I don't know what your emotional state is like. I don't know if you're angry, if you're sad, if you're anxious, if you're worried. I don't know what you value. I don't know much about really anything except that there's a newspaper or there's a magazine that says that you're a Jewish girl and you made a comment earlier about being gay. So that tells me that there's probably a connection between you and the Jewish faith, or the Israeli value, or at least the Jewish place. There's something that from there I can start exploring topics that are likely to trigger me. I can start talking about anti-Semitism. I can start talking about support for Palestinian people. I can talk about injustices that are happening in Gaza. I can talk about injustices that are happening in the UN when they're trying to help Israelis. I know you already did that you've had leadership in Israel. I assume that if there's not Netanyahu, it's somebody else that helps you. There's a chance that you have that these are likely to be points that will trigger some kind of emotional response. As long as I know what I'm talking about, I don't know what I'm talking about. But I need to make a statement. Try into emotional bondage and emotional wisdom. That's only a way to do that. What is actually pushing over to whether they're really anger or upset. Right? So whether they're well, they're very important. Yeah. So you, if you're like a person, you have a person right now, then I think it's really topics that are really all right. I'm going to go to the to do it. I'm not that great, but I have to sound to it. But a lot of times I do. I will have to ask questions. It's just like opening questions. If you ask opening questions, those are questions you don't have to figure out. How are you? CIA teaches us there's only three resources that matter: time, energy, and money. That's it. Everything else out there is an irrelevant resource. It bundles up into either time, energy, or money. Just because you have money doesn't mean you can make a change. Because if you don't have enough energy or enough time, the money doesn't help you. You can have all the time in the world, and if you don't have enough money, you can't affect change. Right? So you need to have all three resources. So when I work with clients, that's a lot of times where we start from. Say, these are the three resources you have. Which of these resources do you have in abundance? Which of these resources do you have the least amount of? And oftentimes what we find is people have either a great deal of time and no money, or a great deal of money and very little time. That helps us adjust how we will train them. Right? People who have a great deal of money and not a lot of time, we will put them in a very concentrated training. And vice versa, people who have more time than money, they'll go in the digital training. So how about, what would you say would be the number one skill, the number one thing people should do to change the outcome of what they want to change? When the reason I struggle with this is because I would argue that most people don't know what outcome they want. I would argue that most people think they want something but haven't thought it through, so they don't really know. And when you tell them to take certain actions, they'll take the action, they'll start to see progress, and then they might realize, well, that's not really what I wanted in the first place, so now I gotta I gotta go back and change myself. So what I often try to tell people first is that whatever you think you want, there's a good chance that you're not self-aware enough to even identify correctly the outcome that you desire. You're still living in some Do you actually believe that you need to have kids? Do you believe that you need to be a mom, or do you actually want to be a mom? I'll tell you this: I've had so many female clients, and they did not ever actually want to be mothers. They're mothers now, and they're very good mothers, and they're loving mothers, and they're dedicated mothers.
Right.
But they didn't make that choice on their own before.
Well, yeah, because you said something earlier that's so accurate. I think is that so much of it, a lot of how we live our lives is because we're programmed to live our lives that way. Do you have any other spy tricks that you can share with us?
No, there are so many, Francesca, because we don't call them tricks. We call them tactics. We call them tactics.
Spy tactics.
Spy tactics that build trust, spy tactics that build confidence, spy tactics that give you an unfair advantage. There are spy tactics that you can use for everything from how to shoot a gun to how to tie your shoes. There's spy tactics for how you pack a bag. There's spy tactics for what you eat and drink in the morning. There's spy tactics for how you talk to somebody who's senior to you. How do you talk to somebody who's younger than you? How do you talk to a female? How do you talk to a female that is attractive to you? How do you talk to a female who...
Headlights cut the blue-black haze. Wheels just hum a lonely phrase. World's asleep in a silver sheet. Just the engine's steady beat. Climbing up the winding spine, leaving all the shade behind. Through the pines, a hint of gold, a story that is getting told. Yeah, new day to unfold. Oh, the sun on the rise, painting colors in my eyes. Top of the world is getting close. Breaking free is the new that grows. The new light grows. Light grows. Sun on the rise in my eyes, in my Headlights cut the blue-black haze. Wheels just hum a lonely phrase. World's asleep in a silver sheet. Just the engine's steady beat. Climbing up the winding spine, leaving all the shade behind. Through the pines, a hint of gold, a story that is getting told. Yeah, new day to unfold. Oh, the sun on the rise, painting colors in my eyes. Top of the world is getting close. Breaking free is the new that grows. The new light grows. Light grows. Sun on the rise in my eyes, in my Headlights cut the blue-black haze. Wheels just hum a lonely phrase. World's asleep in a silver sheet. Just the engine's steady beat. Climbing up the winding spine, leaving all the shade behind. Through the pines, a hint of gold, a story that is getting told. Yeah, new day to unfold.